Hey, what's up? How is everyone doing today? And welcome back to a slightly different video. In this video, I'm just going to be addressing some things to you about my channel and videos, just to clear some grey areas up. So this includes things such as where have I been, tutorial mishaps and future plans for the channel. This will mainly include things regarding the tutorials which I feel could have been done better. And hopefully after watching this, my tutorials will be easier to follow. I'll also be addressing other questions I've had, as well as future plans for the channel. Let's not waste any more time and let's start addressing some stuff. So the first thing I want to talk about is where from here. So for the last few months I have been taking a bit of a break from YouTube just because I have had other life stuff going on in the background and sometimes that just has to take priority. But I am back now and I'm ready to start releasing some new content again. So I aim to release around 2 to 3 videos a month, releasing on Saturdays, and that way it will just make sure that I'm not overworking myself and that I can focus more on the quality of my builds. So initially it will just be tutorials, but then from around July I aim to get Theme Park Island finished, and then once it's complete I will be releasing the map for download, which I'm quite excited for. This will only be on Java Edition due to the fact that the commands in Java Edition don't work in Bedrock. So moving on, I'm now going to address some areas relating to my tutorials which I feel need clearing up. Now over time, I'd like to think that my tutorials have improved from considering some of your input in the comments, which I highly appreciate. But lots of you still follow some of my old tutorials, which I feel could have been improved. So I can't redo them, but I can offer some tips to make them easier to follow. So the first thing I want to address here is camera earthquakes. So you might have noticed in some of my old tutorials that I have ended up just shaking the POV like mad. I used to do it to kind of show what I'm pointing to clearer, but clearly it just makes the screen hard to watch. So I don't do it anymore, and I definitely think it's for the best. And to be fair, the comment that pointed this out did make me laugh. So next up, I want to talk about Shaderpacks. So I get a lot of comments asking me what resource pack I use. So just to be clear, I'm using a shader pack, which is a mod for Java Edition, which makes Minecraft look a little bit more vibrant. I do understand that Bedrock Edition doesn't have this, in terms of like they don't really have great shader pack ability at the minute. Although, from what I've heard, the new Vibrant Visuals update coming to Minecraft sounds pretty cool for Bedrock, as it's going to give it some sort of shader pack, which is going to be pretty cool. Might even try it on Java Edition when it comes out. And a lot of the time I will test my builds without shaders as well, just so I know that they still look good with or without the shaders, because I know sometimes shader packs can make builds look better than what they are, but yeah, I always do that to make sure that you're not getting disappointed if there's no shaders. Next up, I want to talk custom heads. So throughout many of my tutorials I have been using custom heads. I just love the extra decoration they provide for Java Edition in creative mode. However, over time I have noticed that a lot of you are on Bedrock Edition and therefore these aren't available, as well as on survival mode. So I've decided to make custom heads more of an optional feature throughout my new tutorials, just so everyone following them can complete the builds without feeling like they're missing out as much. So it's going to be more of like a bonus section at the end of my tutorials now, just so that the builds will look good with heads or without. Moving on, I now want to talk about dimensions. So I've noticed that sometimes some of you can get confused with my dimensions. Just to be clear, the numbers that I lay out is for the outer edge. I understand that this can be confusing, especially where I have sometimes placed numbers in the inner edges to save space. So from now, I'm adding extra lines on the dimensions to ensure that they are clearer to follow. Because I do understand that these dimensions are very important to the build, as it's basically the whole foundation of whatever I'm building. Moving on, I want to talk about issues with other commands. So I am aware that in earlier tutorials I have used commands for things such as invisible item frames and armor stands, which can only be done in Java Edition in creative mode. So again, similar to the head situation, I do understand that it is limiting to those on Bedrock and survival. So I've decided it's probably best just to leave them out for the time being. And if an opportunity does come where you can add them in Bedrock Edition, then I will be sure to start including them in my tutorials again. So another thing I want to mention is inaccurate counting. So I have received some feedback about my counting, and I do admit I could have done a better job of that earlier on, because sometimes I will count including the block I start from, and sometimes I will not count including the starting block. So from now on, I'm just going to stick to counting across and not including the block I start from, as I can see how that's confusing. And if you are unsure of where I count, just observe where I mark the crosshair, as it will usually indicate what block I'm on about. So just a heads up there. So next I want to mention Superflat Issues. So on my tutorial worlds, I do use custom worlds which are deeper than the classic Superflat, and I have noticed some tutorials require you to dig deeper than 4 blocks, like in my water park tutorial for the pool. So I apologise for not considering this, and I guess the solution to this is either make the pool a little bit more shallow than what I say, or just raise the build up, maybe on like a hill or something. So now moving on to the next part of the video, which is going to be me talking about future plans and other comments that I have had. So the first thing I want to talk about is tutorial city. So there is going to be a point on the channel where I feel I have built enough that I can create a whole city with my builds, which sounds so exciting. I can't wait for that moment. So watch out for that, because it's going to be a great time and I can't wait. Although it's going to involve a lot of planning. I've got to plan, the whole layout, where builds are going to go, what kind of like island is it going to go on or whatnot. So there's a lot to think about there. So now I want to talk a little bit about Theme Park Island. So just to be clear, Theme Park Island is a series mainly for entertainment and inspiration. However, I have noticed that people have been begging me for tutorials. Now I've considered this, and I'm not going to tutorial each ride, as frankly, the amount of command blocks I place is crazy. Like, it tires me placing all of them. However, I might be willing to explore some of the mechanics I use to make the rides work, like the TP commands and stuff, which I'll probably do in a separate video once the series has finished. Now, another thing I want to address in the series is this whole thing about mods. So, now just to be clear, all of the rides that I've built in Theme Park Island can be done in vanilla Minecraft. I don't use any mods apart from the shader pack that I'm using. So most of the stuff is working through either command blocks, structure blocks, entity animations, and texture packs. That's basically it. So no mods here, apart from the shader packs. Because the whole point of that series was to try and challenge myself to make some rides using mainly command blocks and stuff. But yeah, talking of Theme Park Island, I have got some pretty cool ideas for the next 2 rides. And I will reveal that the next ride I will be doing is going to be a giant roller coaster of some sort. So stay tuned for that. So another thing I want to talk about is the Discord server. So you can easily join my Discord via links either in my channel description or in the description of most of my videos. And it's just a nice place to hang out and share some of your builds with other fellow builders. Now, I'm not going to lie, it's quite a dead server at the minute, but it is just somewhere that you can go if you just want to, connect with some of the community. So yeah, so it is there. So feel free to join it if you want, but don't expect it to be lively because it's pretty dead at the minute. So the final thing I want to mention in this video is build tutorial requests. So if you've got an idea for a build tutorial, feel free to pop it in the comments of my videos, as I do read through most of them. Obviously, if the idea is a bit too challenging and unrealistic, I most likely won't consider it. But if I feel it does have a place in a city and it can be easily tutorialed, then I usually will do it. So keep putting all those ideas in the comments, because I love seeing what you can think of. And there we have it. So that's basically everything I wanted to address to you in this video. Hopefully I have managed to clear up some grey areas in order to make sure that my content is more enjoyable to watch for you all. There's still lots of new builds to create, and I can't wait to keep adding to the collection. But yeah, and if you have any extra questions at the end of this video, feel free to comment below and I'll try to respond to as many as I can. And if you have successfully managed to watch this whole video, I have a challenge. So if in the future anyone comments issues I've already addressed in this video, I would absolutely love it if you could just reply with a link in this video, if I haven't done so myself. And then this way, I don't have to keep repeating myself and we can all be on the same page. But I do generally think this video is important because, a lot of you still follow a lot of my old tutorials, and a lot of the issues that I can't change still get brought up constantly. So I thought if I just make this video, then that way I can just address it, and then I've said what I need to say and we can just move on. But yeah, so until next time, thanks for watching and have a great day.